Next, we'll begin working on the flip out doors, starting with the door faces. These will be made using 5/4 poplar lumber from Osborne, as this is a great paint grade material for this project. Before gluing these boards together, I'll cut them to a slightly oversized length and bring them down to a rough thickness using the benchtop planer. Next, I'll glue up the 2 panels by adding some wood glue to each edge and clamping them together while they dry. Once our panels are dry, I'll plane them down to a final thickness of 3/4 of an inch to match the face frame material. Next, I'll test fit the door faces in the cabinet and begin marking out the locations for the pivot point. First, I'll add some wood shims to the bottom side to help center the door face with a proper reveal. I chose a reveal of about 1/16 of an inch once fully assembled, but this can be changed depending on your preference. Next, I'll make a mark on the face frame and door face that is 2.5 inches from the bottom of the cabinet. This will be where the pivot point is located for the flip out doors, but this may change depending on your project dimensions, so I recommend making a small test door before drilling into your cabinet. For this project, we'll be using a 1/2 inch wooden dowel as the pivot for the door system. I'll start by drilling a pilot hole into the door faces using a doweling jig and the marks that we created earlier. The drilling depth for these holes will depend on the size dowel that you use. Just make sure to drill deep enough for a secure attachment during assembly. Now I need to drill corresponding dowel holes into the side of the face frame, this time drilling all the way through the material. This allows us to insert the dowels from the outside edge since the cabinet is already assembled. Before moving on, I'll test fit the wooden dowels just to make sure that there's no interference with the cabinet doors. However, I'm not adding any wood glue yet, as this is not the permanent installation of these doors. Once the dowels are installed, the doors should open smoothly without any interference with the face frame or the cabinet box. Next, I'll begin building the storage part of the cabinet doors using some leftover 1/2 inch plywood. For the bottom storage panels, cut those to the same length as the door faces or slightly smaller to avoid interference with the pivot system. For the support panels, cut those to length slightly smaller than the height of the door faces to avoid interference as well. For the supports, we need to cut an arch on the back side so they don't contact the face frame when opening the doors. The size of this arch is not as important, I just made a line connecting both edges and cut it out using a bandsaw for a clean cut. I added some pocket holes for attachment on the bottom panel and added some wood glue to the door face and secured it in place using a wood screw. For the supports, I installed those on the edges first, tacking them in place using a pneumatic stapler. Now that the storage is complete, we can install the doors onto the cabinet assembly. I'll start by adding some wood glue to the holes that we created earlier that will help keep the dowels from falling out during use. It's important to note that I'm not adding wood glue to the face frame holes, only the holes in the storage boxes. For the pivot system to work properly, the dowels will need to turn in the face frame holes to avoid friction. To keep the doors from falling back into the cabinet, I added these wooden stops along the back edge of the face frame just to hold them in place. The last step for these boxes is to add a dowel that will catch the back of the face frame as you pull the doors out. This can be located anywhere on the interior and will depend on how far you want the doors to pull out during use. Once the furniture feet are installed, we can add the dowels on the inside of the storage boxes and complete the assembly for the interior of the cabinet.